They told me I wasn't dead. They looked into my eyes and said, "You're going to be okay." But I wasn't okay, because deep inside I knew the truth. And the truth was, I had already crossed a line I could never uncross. What do you call it when your body breathes, your heart beats, and yet your soul feels like it never made it back? The fluorescent lights above flickered as I blinked my eyes open. I could hear machines beeping steadily, people shuffling outside my room, and a strange numbness draped over me like a heavy winter coat. But the strangest thing was the silence inside me. The calm. The kind of calm that doesn't come from peace, but from absence. Have you ever stood at the edge of something so big, so unknowable, that it changes you forever? I stood there. I walked past it. And I came back with something no one else could see. They smiled when they saw me waking up. Nurses. Doctors. My family. I heard words like miracle and second chance. But their smiles didn't reach their eyes, not really. They looked relieved, but also unsure. As if they were celebrating something they didn't quite understand. They didn't know what I remembered. They didn't ask what I saw. And they definitely didn't know the secret I brought back with me. I remember the moment it happened, when I was supposed to die. It wasn't like how people describe it. There was no tunnel. No light. No music or voices from the beyond. It was more like falling into a room where sound couldn't follow, where time twisted in on itself, and everything I thought I knew about life got torn apart at the seams. It was there, in that silence, that I saw it. Not a vision. Not a dream. A truth. One that shattered everything. And now here I am, back in a world that feels too loud, too bright, too hollow. They say I survived. They say I'm lucky. But luck has nothing to do with it. Because the thing that brought me back, it wasn't mercy. It wasn't fate. It was unfinished business. And now I'm watching everything differently. People talk to me, but I listen for what they're not saying. I watch their eyes more than their mouths. I hear whispers in the quiet spaces of the day. I feel the weight of something following me. They see me alive. I know I came back different, because the secret I carry isn't just mine. It doesn't belong in this world. And if they ever found out, if anyone ever discovered what I saw on the other side, nothing would ever be the same again. So I keep quiet. I smile when they smile. I nod when they say I'm doing great. But inside, I'm counting the days. Because something is coming. And it's not just for me. It's for all of us. My name is Azan Malik. Before all of this, I was just an ordinary man. 31 years old. A quiet technician at a small electrical repair shop downtown. The kind of guy who blended into the background. I wasn't the loudest in the room, and I definitely wasn't the most popular. I preferred to listen more than speak. Fixing things gave me a sense of peace. The logic, the wires, the predictability. Machines made sense to me. People not so much. I lived alone. A one-bedroom flat 2 floors above a bakery that opened too early and smelled like vanilla and cinnamon every morning. I never complained. I liked routine. Woke up at 6:30 a.m. Coffee. Work. Read. Sleep. Repeat. No drama. No noise. Just peace. But peace isn't permanent. And mine shattered the moment I closed my eyes one Thursday night and opened them in a hospital bed the next. They said it was an accident. A power surge. A fuse blew while I was checking a line, and it threw me back into a wall. Cracked ribs. Concussion. Heart stopped for 4 minutes. Clinically dead. No oxygen to the brain. They thought I wouldn't make it. And even if I did, there'd be damage. Memory loss. Motor issues. Brain fog. But I came back whole. Too whole. Like something had stepped in during those 4 minutes and made a deal. Let me tell you about the people in my life, because they matter now more than ever. My mother, Amina, God bless her, has always been the anchor. Soft-spoken but sharp, like silk wrapping a sword. She's the kind of woman who could calm a storm with a whisper and see through you with just one glance. When I woke up, she was sitting by my bed, holding my hand, tears in her eyes. But there was something else in her expression, not just relief. Worry. Like she knew something was off. She hasn't said anything yet, but I know she sees it. Then there's denial, my best friend since high school. Loud, loyal, and always one step away from trouble. He visited me 3 times in the hospital, bringing snacks I couldn't eat and stories that didn't make me laugh like they used to. He said I seemed quieter than usual, more distant. He joked that I must have seen ghosts. I didn't laugh. He doesn't know how close he is to the truth. And then there's Lena. She's not my girlfriend, not even someone I dated. But she was the one person I'd always hoped might notice me differently one day. She worked at the bookstore I'd visit every Saturday. A poetic soul, always reading something old and underlined. We used to talk about books, the quiet kind of conversations that felt like more than just words. There was something unspoken there, a possible what if, that never had time to bloom. When she heard about my accident, she came, sat beside me, held my hand once, and when she looked into my eyes, she froze. "What happened to you?" she whispered. I didn't have an answer. You see, before the accident, I never believed in anything beyond this world. I didn't pray. I didn't hope. I just existed. But what I saw, what I felt during those 4 minutes, made me question everything. It wasn't heaven. It wasn't hell. It was between. A place of truths. A waiting room of souls. And one of them spoke to me. Not with words. With presence. She was there. A little girl. Brown eyes. Braided hair. Smiling. But her eyes, those weren't the eyes of a child. They carried centuries. She pointed at me and said, without speaking, "You're not done." And just like that, I woke up, gasping, screaming. The doctors thought it was trauma. But I knew. That place wasn't a dream. It was real. Too real. The air there had a weight to it. The light bent strangely. And the silence, it listened. I've never told anyone about her. Or what she showed me. But I think she gave me something. A warning. A message. And now, I see shadows where light should be. I hear whispers behind closed doors. I dream of events before they happen. I know when people lie, even if they don't move their lips. Sometimes I touch metal and feel static crawl up my spine, not pain but memory, as if electricity remembers me. And there's a sound, a low hum that follows me in silence. It gets louder when I'm near certain people. And I've started writing things down that I don't remember learning. Symbols, names, places. This didn't come from me. It came from there. So I do what I always do when something breaks. I try to understand it, to fix it. But what if I'm not the one who's broken? What if something else cracked, and I'm just the first to feel it? It started with the birds. 3 days after I was discharged from the hospital, I sat at my window watching the neighborhood breathe. Normal things. A postman riding by, a child chasing a ball, a woman yelling into her phone. But above it all, silence. No birds. Not a single flutter in the trees. No caws, no chirps, not even the rustle of wings. That might seem small, but I noticed. I'd always been observant, tuned into patterns. And this wasn't right. By that evening, the silence thickened, the kind that presses against your skin, waiting to be noticed. Then came the dreams. I began waking up drenched in sweat, gasping like I was underwater. I would see the girl again, the one from the between. She was always standing in strange places now, abandoned roads, libraries on fire, cliffs over oceans that didn't end. Sometimes she cried. Sometimes she screamed without making a sound. But always, she pointed at me. And then the symbols started appearing, not just in my head or in dreams, but drawn with my own hands. On napkins, receipts, my bathroom mirror when the steam cleared. Intricate shapes I'd never studied, but somehow understood. Lena noticed one I had accidentally doodled on a book she lent me. Her face went pale. "Where did you see this?" I don't know." She didn't believe me. "You should know this symbol, Azan," she whispered. "It's from a forgotten language. No one even speaks it anymore. It's ancient." And then she left, just like that, clutching the book to her chest like it might protect her. That was the first time I felt genuinely afraid. Denial called that night. I told him I wasn't sleeping. that things were off. I expected him to mock me, laugh it off. But he didn't. Instead, he told me something I'll never forget. Bro, when they took you into surgery that night, they said your heart stopped. For 4 minutes. But it wasn't just 4 minutes. They lost your chart. It was missing for over 3 hours. I froze. What do you mean? I mean, no one knew where your body went. Nurses blamed each other. But no one filed a record between 2:07 a.m. and 5:13 a.m. That's not an accident. A chill moved down my spine. Why didn't you tell me? Because your mom made me promise not to. That was it. The confirmation that something deeper, something hidden, was at play. My mother knew. She'd known since the beginning. The way she avoided questions. The way she didn't want me looking into the reports. So I confronted her. She didn't deny it. I didn't want you to remember, she said, tears brimming in her eyes. When you were gone, they came. 2 men. Dressed like doctors, but their badges didn't match. They took your file. One whispered something to the nurse. I heard it. He said, he's crossed. What does that mean, Alma? Who were they? She only whispered, I think you came back with something that doesn't belong here. And then she gave me a box. A small wooden one she'd hidden behind the wardrobe. Inside it was a photo, a faded black and white picture of a young boy who looked exactly like me, dated 1924. On the back, written in elegant Urdu script, he returned once and never left again. My heart sank. This wasn't just about my accident. This wasn't even just about me. Something had happened before. That night, I couldn't sleep. The electricity in my apartment crackled louder than ever. The walls buzzed. The light bulbs flickered in rhythm with my pulse. And in the bathroom mirror, a reflection that moved even when I didn't. I smashed the mirror. And from the broken shards, I saw her face. The girl, but older, crying blood, saying without lips, they're coming. The very next morning, I found a note slipped under my door. No name. No handwriting. Just one line. Don't trust the man in the brown coat. He knows what you are. I hadn't told anyone about the dreams. Not even denial. Yet here it was, someone new. Later that day, as I walked to the bakery below my building, I saw him. A man in a brown coat. Sunglasses. Earpiece. Not moving. Just watching me from across the street. I turned. Pretended not to notice. But every fiber in my body screamed that I was being hunted. That he wasn't just watching, he was studying. Waiting. I left the bread. Ran upstairs. Locked every door and window. That night, Lena called. Whispering frantically. I read the symbol again. Azan, you don't understand. It's not just ancient, it's forbidden. It's used in rituals that open gates. You've been marked. By what? I asked. By something older than death. And then the line went dead. The dreams worsened. I stopped seeing the girl. Now I saw myself. Or versions of myself. Burned. Decayed. Laughing. Screaming. One walked through fire. One crawled through ash. One held a mirror and whispered, you weren't supposed to return. Reality began to warp. Time stuttered. I'd see people speak before their mouths moved. Hear footsteps minutes before someone arrived. See symbols burned into wood, only to vanish the next second. I wasn't just seeing things. I was crossing into other layers of reality. Then the man in the brown coat appeared again. In the reflection of my microwave. Inside the bus window. In my dreams. He spoke only once. You have until the equinox. After that, you're theirs. I tried to run. The moment that man spoke, you have until the equinox. Something in my gut twisted violently. I didn't need to Google it. I knew the equinox was just 2 nights away. I packed a bag with no idea where I was going. Threw in clothes, my charger, the strange box my mother gave me, and the photo. The boy who looked like me. Somehow, I knew he was connected. I couldn't leave it behind. I called denial. Meet me at the old train station. Don't ask questions. He didn't, which made me worry even more. As I left the apartment, the air felt wrong. Thick. Like something was watching from every angle, every shadow. The elevator stalled on the third floor. Lights flickered. When the door opened, it wasn't my building anymore. It was a hospital corridor, dimly lit, the hum of fluorescent lights overhead, the smell of antiseptic and decay. I stumbled back in terror, but the elevator door wouldn't close. At the far end of the hallway stood a woman in a hospital gown, eyes white as bone, her mouth sewn shut with black thread. She raised a hand slowly, pointing at me. The same motion the girl in my dreams always did. Then I blinked, and just like that, I was back in my building. The elevator dinged like nothing happened. When I met Denial, I told him everything. From the dreams to the symbols to the warnings.
He believed me.
I think you did die that night, Ozan, he said grimly. But something else came back with you. Or maybe, instead of you. The station was abandoned, barely standing. Dust coated every bench and sign, as if the world had forgotten this place. But not us. This was where we used to come as kids, where we dared each other to sneak into train cars. It felt fitting. We found a secluded storage area in the back, locked from inside. We settled there, trying to figure out what to do next. Then Lena arrived. She tracked us down, said the same man in the brown coat had come looking for her. Showed up at her university. Never asked questions. Just watched. She left everything behind and brought the only thing that mattered, her grandmother's diary. Her grandmother had studied forbidden symbols, ritual languages, ancient practices that even the religious feared to speak of. Inside the diary was the very same symbol I'd been drawing, and below it, in red ink, Gatekeeper of the Veil. Do not mark. Do not awaken. We huddled around the candlelight in that dusty room, piecing together fragments of meaning. Apparently, this symbol wasn't just a design, it was a key, a trigger. It marked those who had passed through death's door and returned not alone. It meant I had become something else. Or worse, something else had become me. I began remembering pieces. Not full memories, but slivers. Moments between heartbeats. Shadows whispering. A door in the middle of nowhere that opened without hinges. A voice saying, "We will let you return." But not empty. That's when the knocking began. 3 soft knocks on the storage room door. We all went silent. Another knock. Louder this time. Denial raised a rusted iron rod. "Who's there?" No answer. Just a final knock. Heavy, like a fist made of stone. Then, silence. We waited for hours before finally opening the door. No one was there. But in the corridor, etched into the concrete floor, was the symbol again, this time, burned into it. I felt it inside my head, humming, like something was being activated. Time began to blur. I didn't know if I was asleep or awake anymore. The others said I was talking in other voices, that I'd wake up not remembering hours at a time. I was unraveling. Until the second night came, the eve of the equinox. That's when it happened. We were awakened by a sound like a train, but not outside. Inside. The very walls of the station vibrated. The air smelled like burnt ozone and rotting flowers. Then the ceiling cracked open, not physically, but like a tear in reality. Through it stepped the girl. Older.
Broken.
With red threads running down from her sewn lips, staining her white dress. She didn't speak, just held out her hand. And then she pointed to me. Again. Everything went black. I woke up in a place beyond time. A corridor of mirrors, each one showing a version of me. Some happy, some monstrous, some lying in coffins, some floating in black oceans. In the center stood the man in the brown coat. "Do you know why they sent me?" he asked. I shook my head. "Because you cracked the gate. You brought a passenger with you. A shadow that doesn't belong." I felt my chest tighten. "Then take it out. Fix it."
He laughed.
"You misunderstand. The shadow didn't hitch a ride inside you. You are the passenger." And then he disappeared. I screamed. The corridor shattered. The mirrors broke inward, pulling me into one of them like water. I crashed back into my body in the real world, gasping. Lena and Denial had drawn a massive symbol around me in chalk and salt, desperately chanting whatever was in her grandmother's notes. I was on the floor, my veins glowing under my skin. Symbols danced across my arms like ink in motion. I cried out, "Am I me? Am I still me?" And from inside me, a second voice answered, deeper, older, colder. Not entirely. The lights in the station exploded. The walls shook. And then everything stopped. Just stillness. When I opened my eyes, the symbol was gone. The markings on my skin faded. The humming silenced. Lena looked pale. Denial was crying.
You were gone, he said. No breath.
No pulse. We were about to give up. Then you came back. This time, I felt the return, like something had been peeled off my soul. The door to the room was open. The man in the brown coat was gone. Forever, maybe. I hoped. And in my hand, clenched tight without me realizing, was the photo. Only now the boy was smiling. Something had changed. We stayed there until sunrise. Then we left the station together. No more dreams. No more whispers. At least for now. I wasn't sure if I was entirely free, but I knew who I was again. And more importantly, who I wasn't. Sometimes, the line between life and death is thinner than we imagine, a fragile veil that can be torn, folded, or even crossed without warning. I lived that truth. I walked through a door no one else could see, carrying a secret I never expected, that even when told I wasn't dead, part of me had already slipped away, transformed by something dark and ancient. But what does it mean to truly live again? Is it enough to breathe, to walk, to see the sun? Or does the soul bear scars invisible to the eye, reminders of the shadows it carries inside? I want you to ask yourself, if you had a secret no one else knew, a part of you that didn't belong fully to this world, how would you face it? Would you run, hide, or confront it with courage, even if it meant unraveling everything you thought you were? This story isn't just mine. It's a whisper to anyone who's felt invisible pain, who's battled forces they don't understand, or who's been told, "You're fine," when their heart screamed otherwise. Remember, sometimes the hardest battles happen not on the outside but within, the invisible wars of identity, memory, and truth. And sometimes, survival isn't about escaping the darkness, but learning how to live with it, to find strength in your broken pieces. So, what will you choose? To deny the secrets lurking beneath your skin, or to face them and reclaim your true self? If you're listening to this, know this. You're not alone in your shadows. There is a light inside you waiting to break through the darkest night. And if you've ever felt like you're carrying something no one else understands, maybe it's time to tell your story. Because sometimes sharing the untold secret is the first step toward healing. What's your secret? And how will you choose to live with it?